You're 42 years old. You have $120,000 saved for retirement. And every article you've read tells you that you need over $1 million to retire comfortably. So you're lying awake at 3 a.m. doing the math. You've got maybe 23 years until you want to retire at 65. To get from $120,000 to $1 million, you'd need to save almost $2,500 every single month. And that's just not happening. So now you're thinking, I'll never retire. I'll be working until I'm 75, maybe 80. I failed at this. I need you to sit with me in that feeling for just a moment. Because that panic, that shame, it's based on a number that probably doesn't even apply to you. I'm Toyin. I'm a CPA and financial planner, and I've run these numbers more times than I can count. And here's what I need to tell you. The retirement number you think you need, it's probably wrong. Here's what nobody tells you about that $1 million myth. According to Northwestern Mutual's 2025 study, Americans believe they need about $1.2 million to retire comfortably. And Canadian articles echo similar numbers, telling you that $1 million is the baseline for a decent retirement. But here's the thing. You don't need to replace your current income. You need to replace your current spending. And this is where Canadian actuary Frederick Vettese, who literally wrote the book on retirement income in Canada, has something revolutionary to tell you. Vettese argues that the traditional advice to replace 70% of your working income is too high. For most middle and high income earners who reach retirement with their mortgage paid off and their kids launched, 50 to 60% is actually enough. Why? Because let me show you what you're not spending in retirement. You're not saving 10 to 15% of your income for retirement anymore. You're not paying down a mortgage. That's another 15 to 20% gone. You're not supporting kids. Easily another 10% during their growing years. You don't have work-related expenses. No more CPP and EI deductions. And your taxes drop significantly. When you strip all that away, many Canadians are actually only living on 30 to 40% of their gross income during their working years. So if you're earning $90,000 a year right now, you might only be spending $36,000 on yourself for day-to-day living. That's the number you need to replace, not $63,000, which would be 70% of your income. Suddenly, this feels different, doesn't it? I break down strategies like this in my newsletter, showing you exactly how to apply them to your situation. Subscribe to receive practical strategies specifically for women in their 40s and 50s. I'll put the link below. No generic advice, just actionable steps you can implement right away. There are several ways to calculate your retirement number. Income multiples, fixed savings percentages, the old 70% rule. But I'm going to show you the two most practical methods for Canadian women in their 40s and 50s. Method 1, the simple 4% rule. This is what most calculators use. Annual spending times 25 equals total you need saved. Why 25? Because you can safely withdraw 4% per year, but you subtract CPP and OAS first. Method 2, the Vettese Income Replacement Method. More accurate. This is the method I prefer because it's more realistic for Canadians. Start with your current gross income, let's say $90,000. Now, subtract what disappears in retirement. RRSP contributions 10%, that's $9,000. Mortgage payment 15%, that's $13,500. Kids expenses 8%, another $7,200. Work expenses $2,700. CPP EI deductions 7%, $6,300. Extra income tax on working income $5,000. What you're actually living on now is $46,300, which is about 51% of gross. That's your real target for retirement spending, not $63,000, which is 70% of gross. You're already living on $46,300 comfortably. Now, let's see what you get in retirement. CPP at 65 comes to about $15,000. OAS at 65, $8,500. Total government income comes to $23,500. The gap your savings needs to cover is $22,800 annually. Using the 4% rule, $22,800 times 25 equals $570,000 needed. See the difference? Not a million, not even close. Now, these two methods will give you a solid starting point. As a financial planner, I use specialized software that can factor in more variables, things like your specific tax situation, inflation rates, different withdrawal strategies, and market scenarios. But these methods I've described above will get you close enough to start planning with confidence. Here's your priority order. First, track your actual spending for 3 months. What are you really spending on yourselves for mortgage, savings, kids, work? Then get your CPP estimate at My Service Canada account. It takes 5 minutes. You need your real number. Next, calculate using both methods. They should give you similar numbers if you're honest about your spending. Finally, if there's a gap, you have 3 levers. Save more now, work a bit longer, spend a bit less in retirement. Most people will use all 3 levers, and that's completely fine. Let me show you how this could work for someone exactly where you are. You're 42 with $120,000 saved. You earn $85,000. You're panicking because you think you need $1 million. Here's what the Vettese method shows. Your current gross income of $85,000. What disappears in retirement? RRSP savings $8,500, mortgage $15,000, kids expenses $6,000, work costs $2,500, CPP $5,500, extra tax $4,500, total $42,000. What you're actually living on, $43,000, which is 51% of your gross. Your retirement income sources, CPP, if you take it at 65, $14,000. OAS at 65, $8,500. That gives you a total of $22,500. The gap you need to fill from your savings is $20,500 a year. The amount you actually need saved is $512,500. You need $512,000, not $1 million. And you're already at $120,000. You can save $750 a month in your RRSP. You're 42, so you have 23 years until 65. Here's what happens, and I'm factoring in investment fees of 0.6%. So you're earning a net return of 5.4%. Your existing $120,000 grows at 5.4% for 23 years, $402,000. Your $750 a month contributions for 23 years comes to about $409,000. The total you have at 65 is about $800,000. You don't just hit your target of 512, you exceed it by almost $300,000, giving you flexibility and peace of mind. And here's where it gets even better. Vettese strongly recommends deferring CPP to age 70 if you can. Your CPP increases by 8.4% for every year you delay past 65. If you delay to 70, that $14,000 becomes about $20,400, an extra $6,400 every year for your life, fully indexed for inflation. You could use some of your RRSP savings between 65 and 70 to bridge the gap, then have even more guaranteed income after 70. The panic can stop. You can start building wealth on your timeline. So let's come back to where we started. You're not failing because you don't have $1 million. You probably don't even need $1 million. What you need is your number based on what you're actually spending on yourself right now, not some arbitrary percentage of your income. Will you have the same retirement as someone who started saving at 22? No. But you're not trying to have their retirement. You're building your retirement, one that fits your life, your spending, and your timeline. And here's what I know. When you stop chasing someone else's number and start building your real number, the one that's based on your actual spending, the panic ceases, the shame lifts, and the plan becomes actually doable. Now, if you're realizing you want a more detailed analysis that accounts for your specific situation, your exact tax bracket, your investment mix, different scenarios for when you might retire, that's where working with a financial planner can help. We use comprehensive software that can model all those variables. But what I've shown you today gives you a strong foundation to work from. If you want more strategies like this, breaking down Canadian tax rules, RRSP optimization, CPP timing, and real numbers you can use, subscribe to my newsletter to receive practical strategies for women in their 40s and 50s. I'll put the link below. No generic advice, just actionable steps you can implement right away. And if you're thinking, okay, I know I need to save $750 a month, but how do I actually start investing? Watch my video on 0 to 10K in investment. I'll walk you through exactly how to get started step by step. Comment below with your biggest retirement concern. I read every comment. You've got this. Let's build your retirement, not someone else's. See you in the next video.